Catherine Cameron, welcome. I am so happy to have you here on Light Live today. And we have been working together now for probably close, 8, 9 months.
Yeah.
It has been so nice to get to know you. We've been working in different settings, but mostly we met through Mia and our therapist of the New World. And it's been really a pleasure to get to know you and all of the different healing modalities that we have learned through that process. I had the pleasure of watching your video this morning, and it was beautiful. I love the community you have, the BU community, and all of your videos because the way you explain things is just absolutely beautiful. I love the fact that you do them all in nature, or I think pretty much all of them. I've never seen you not, because I love being in nature myself, and it just brings such a beautiful element to your lives to see that aspect. This morning, doing the meditation, seeing the tree and everything was just so beautiful. And you have such an eloquent way of explaining things. I just love that. Do you you didn't start in spirituality. You started with the school system, right?
Yes, 33 years I worked in education and in a variety of roles, including teacher training, working in university and delivering school directing through schools, teacher training through schools. And also as a literacy and language specialist for dyslexia as well, worked for Dyslexia Action for a while. And set up my own business in dyslexia. So all of my prior experience was in education, but the only aspect of that, there was lots of transferable skills to what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But the only aspect of that I'd covered before our course together, Therapist of the New World with Mia Kafkios, was that I had been a coach for other teachers. So I'd done coaching with teachers and supporting teachers in class.
Okay. So what made how did you know that you were feeling how did you feel that spiritual urge to delve into who you were on a really, an intuitive level? How did you feel that?
Well, going back to childhood, I remember being in church and I remember having a real connection with this energy, with God's source. And I remember thinking that there was a reason that I was here. And then fast forward, once I hit 50, I hit a period in my life which I'd had other things to deal with prior to this, but I do consider this as my dark night of the soul, where my life just started to fall apart. And it fell apart in every part of my life. So it wasn't just one aspect of it, it was every part. And I really didn't know which direction it was going to go in. And I floundered. I floundered. But at the same time, I kept up that expectation of being the strong woman and having everything under control. So outwardly, it looked like I still had everything under control, whereas inwardly, I was really, really struggling. And then I started to Serendipity Wellbeing. I started to go to the Crystal Club that was taking place at the time. And as I was meditating, I suddenly felt that aspect of me that I'd felt as a child. And I suddenly felt that connection and that that feeling that I'd had, and I just knew that that was it. That was the missing part in my life. That was the hole that I was feeling in my life. So it was quite a quick switch,
That's
and it just started a process of healing. Initially, it was a process of healing.
yeah, that's so beautiful.
Mm.
And you know, when you talk about your childhood, there's so many things when we talk that remind me of my own. It's there has been aspects, I mean, even though we're across the world from each other, that remind me when you had when you were a little girl, you went through different, you know, ups and downs as a child, and I feel like you were a very sensitive child. Did you go, you know, how did you, what types of sensitivities did you really, were you keen to? Like, were you picking up different aspects of spirit at that time?
Yes, yes, very much so. And even as a child, I was very aware. I was very empathic. And even though I didn't see spirit, I was very much aware of if they were there and what they looked like, and if they were male or female, and how they felt and how their energy felt. So, and it wasn't just spirit that I picked up. I picked up on other people's emotions and thoughts and feelings really quite acutely as a child, to the point where I would find it quite difficult at times when I was amongst adults and there were problems within the, what was going on, because even though I couldn't understand it, I took everything on. I absorbed everything. So as a child, that became really difficult, because when my parents were having problems, and my dad is a beautiful man in many ways, but he was very narcissistic towards my mum, and the relationship was not good in that way. And my mum was very codependent on my dad, and at times he did get quite violent towards her. And so as a child, I took that on, even the responsibility of feeling that I needed to protect my mum. So, and I needed to kind of sort my dad out. So I'd be the one that would try and intervene, thinking that I was helping, but and then it would all come back at me. And then because I was so empathic, I would take on even more. So this taking on this as a child kind of built up in me, and I carried it through to adulthood. And then not exactly in the same way, because I didn't choose men like my dad. I purposely chose men that were not like my dad, even though I love my dad and there's a lot of things I respect about him. But I began to realize that as an adult, and it was only when we started Mia's course that I started to do this, even though I'd started to do a lot of healing with Carrie from Serendipity Wellbeing. I'd started to do that before Mia's course. But during Mia's course, it helped me to understand that I was actually acting out a lot of what I'd witnessed with my mum. So
Yeah.
I was actually acting out that codependency, but in a different way, a very different way, because my generation's very different to my mum's. But even though I thought I was a strong, independent woman, career woman, etc., I really had put myself in this victim box and
Hmm.
become very codependent on external things to me. So I was starting to measure myself by how other people were measuring me.
Yeah.
Not everything, I was becoming very codependent on external things to make me feel good about myself.
That makes a lot of sense. That was something that I also realized as well through that process, is all of the times throughout my life that I had worked so hard on receiving love, And instead of going inward, I had gone outward. And when I started to go inward, it was so much more gratifying. But I had had so much trauma as a child myself. I didn't know how to, I had to heal those aspects first before I knew how to go inward instead of outward. And that was very rewarding to find ways to do that. But it was also, it took a little bit. So it was like changing your thought pattern. It takes a little bit of time. So and we both have experienced similar but also different things. And it was, yeah. And so changing our perception on that can be massive. How have you seen your perception change?
Well, basically, at the beginning of 2021, I decided, well, I've always wanted to write a book. I've always had a book in me. I've got lots of books in me now.
Yeah.
But I knew there was at least one. And at the beginning of 2021, I was doing 2 jobs, but I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and doing my writing before I did anything else. And I decided to write the book. I was very, there was something in me that was driving me, that was, and driving me and telling me that this was something I needed to do. And I realise now that it was very much my family of light, my spirit guides,
Mhm.
sort of working,
Nudging,
that voice you have,
yeah.
that kind of push, that nudge. And that became the beginning of my healing process. I did do research, and I realised that I wasn't the only woman that was experiencing similar things to the things that I write about in the book. And I observed my friends, and I did some research, and I read some research on the experiences of women around my age. We won't mention that. And
Mhm.
then I decided that I needed to write about this, and I didn't quite understand why. I just knew I needed to write about it. So I decided to write about it in a compassionate way. And because I've been very blessed to have really close friends that have been honest with me when they've needed to be honest with me, including my sister. And we've spent many a time over a coffee and cake and a cup of tea. And we've been quite honest with each other. And that support, um, prior to me becoming spiritually awakened, that was the support that got me through. It was the friends that I had that got me through. And so the book is based around that experience, but the experiences in it are not directly related to me. There's little bits in there, but there's little bits of my friends, and there's little bits of observations I've made as well. So it's not about anyone in particular. But that started the healing process for me, because it helped me to start to understand the things that I had accepted as a woman, the things that we think prior to starting this spiritual journey, the things that we think is normal and it's part of society. And this is what happens. And these are the expectations of us. And as soon as I started on my spiritual journey, I began to realize that in coming and healing myself and in loving myself, coming back to that place of self-love, I realized that I needed to create boundaries. I didn't have boundaries. I was always wanting to please other people. I was always and it was a two-way process, because that gave me that false sense of being loved, or that false sense of being needed, or that false sense of being something that I wanted to be. And I realized that in this spiritual journey and the healing process that had to create those boundaries. And so the books, they're just 4 short stories, and the paperback that's coming out at the end of this month, I've added a little bit about my story at the end of it. But basically, the ladies in the story, the 4 short stories, you only hear one voice, but you know that voice, that lady is talking to a friend in a coffee shop or a tea room or something like that. And you know that they're going through a point in their lives where they're starting to question things, as I did, and if things are acceptable, and they're starting to understand that they need to come back to themselves and they need to create those boundaries and they need to come back to that place of self-love. So it's not a spiritual book as such, but in a way, it's, for me personally, it's understanding that movement, that healing process from the toxic feminine into the divine feminine, because that's the process that I've been through. And the beautiful thing about that as well is that in that process of me understanding and coming back to my divine feminine and rebalancing that, because I was very much working within the masculine, toxic feminine, and really masculine, heavy based. And it wasn't working for me. And it wasn't working for my relationship with my husband either. As I've healed myself, it's also healed our relationship. And I think as we move towards the new world, the golden age that we're all can see ahead of us, that balance in relationships and the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and bringing those in within relationships, it just has made me realize how important that is, because my healing process is healed. Even though he's not on a spiritual journey or he's not aware of it, he's healed alongside me. And it's almost like we're still going through it, this transition towards having the balance in our relationship that's needed. So the stories for me started at one point, but they mean so much more to me now.
That makes a lot of sense, because even though my husband doesn't meditate as regularly as I do, I mean, he does occasionally, but not as regularly, um, I can still see a difference in him. He still will receive intuitive messages. He's still, yeah, he still has changed quite a bit throughout the years. And there's times when I have to honor what he says and, adapt, just like it's all about, any relationship is a balancing system. And we have to give and take a little bit here and there, and and be okay with that and respect that, you know. I get
Yeah,
that very
well,
much. Yeah.
yeah, and it's really beautiful because we've got the divine masculine energies coming in now. They've started to come through. It's the divine timing for our divine masculine coming through, which is really beautiful to see.
Yes.
But I think we've still got that responsibility as women of moving from the toxic feminine to the divine feminine. We've still got that transition to make, and to support other women in making that transition as well for themselves, so that they can. It's so beautiful, because you kind of just, and Mia's taught us this, hasn't she, about loving ourselves and enjoying our femininity and being who we are and being a woman and enjoying that aspect of it.
Very
Uh,
much so.
yeah,
Yeah, and enjoying the beauty that it brings. all the different aspects. So it's, yeah, I love that there's more peace to it. There's more flow. There's more, um, yeah, when you can bring in that aspect, it's a beauty. There's a beautiful aspect. And for many, many years, I was doing the same thing where I was not honoring my boundaries. And I completely understand.
Yeah.
So that's something I have to do on a regular basis is is honor those boundaries and respect that. And there's times when I will be checked, you know, about that. Or it's one of those things that spirit comes and checks. Are you still doing that? Are you
Yeah.
still honoring your boundaries?
Yeah.
So, what do you do when um, do you want to tell, well, before I go and ask you another question, do you want to tell people how they can access your book? I'm really excited about this book.
Okay, if you actually put my name, Catherine Carmen, but spelt correctly,
Yeah.
in Amazon, the book will come up.
Okay.
And the book is called Let's Not Leave It So Long. And I highly recommend that, if you've got a friend that is struggling with things, or just get them a copy of the book. The paperback it's already out on Amazon Kindle. The paperback is coming out at the end of this month in time for Christmas presents. So I'm going to buy lots of my friends the book, a
That's
copy of the book for Christmas, and then they can see if they recognize little bits of themselves in there.
Yeah, that's
but
so cool.
yeah, but so it's Let's Not Leave It So Long by Catherine Carman. It's a very short book, but it packs a punch, and hopefully you enjoy it. I want people to enjoy it. I want women to be able to relate to it, but enjoy it as well, and just feel like they're not the only ones experiencing these things. But I've started to write the next book, which is from a character in the first book who doesn't actually speak. He's in the background. But this book is called Dance Partner, and I'm taking a different approach with this one in how I'm writing it. But the character in this book has experienced a narcissistic relationship which has impacted her. But it's also looking at her, as we were talking about, it's looking about at her toxic femininity and her growth. And this book is very much related to her personal growth, linked in with her spiritual growth. So we watch this character and we're very involved with this character as she is going through the process of healing from this and coming to a point in her life on her spiritual journey where she's taking her power back. And the title Dance Partner, we raised the question at the beginning, is it really a dance partner that she needs, or is she her own dance partner?
That's
So
really cool. And I love how you talk about it's not just the other person,
mm,
because so many times we want to just say, oh, it's them doing this and them doing that. But then when we really start bringing in that healing, we have to own our own part. And when I really started to do that for myself, that's when I started to have to say, okay, I have several slices in this pie and I have to own that. Yes, they did this, but I stayed, or I didn't put up my boundaries, or I said stuff back, or there's things that I did, and I have to own that part. And that's where that shadow work comes in, so you can change because we can't change other people. We can only change what we do. And that's where that power comes in. And for you to talk about that, that's so powerful. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, hopefully it will support many people on their spiritual journey who may be experiencing similar things. I mean, I've been blessed to observe it secondhand rather than experience it firsthand. But I'm very empathic and I'm very observant, and yeah. So, and I'm also writing a book which is linked to journaling and using journaling to support us in our spiritual journey. So the books I'm writing are very much about our individual spiritual journey, but just giving little signposts and guidance for
You,
people.
I'm also seeing you do a group coming up at the
Yes, yeah,
beginning of the year. I'm seeing you
that's
doing some sort of a coaching group or something, teaching
yeah.
people um, how to do this for themselves.
That's right. I'm currently putting a course together, which is in line with the book that I'm writing, and
Yeah,
um, it's in different stages. The course for different points of people's journey. So I'm currently writing that as well. So I'll be doing a
yeah,
face-to-face and possibly online as well.
yeah. I was gonna say I can see you doing that by like February or so.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
aiming for the end of January for it to start. Yeah,
yeah. So I could see that taking place.
yeah.
Yeah, I could see that very. I can see you having at least 6 to 8 people in this. You know,
Which is a good size group because then I can give them the attention that they need, as individuals as well.
yeah. But that looks like in person you might have up to 12.
Yeah,
So maybe you're gonna have some in person and some online. That
yeah,
looks is what it's looking like. But
yeah.
yeah, that's what it's looking like. I I'm very excited for you.
Thank you, Christina.
Yes, I'm so excited.
It's
Yeah.
just so wonderful, though, isn't it, when we step into our roles and we take guidance, and it's a bit scary. So I'm not saying every day I'm 100% confident about everything, but then when we come into that place of alignment and back to trust, it's just such a wonderful, wonderful feeling, isn't it? It is transformational. So I want that for other people.
Yes, yes. Well, I see you assisting people with intuitive writing very, very,
Mm.
because all of your teaching skills from the past plus your intuitive skills are going to just go naturally into this, and you're going to be like a natural for this. This is like something you were coursed to do before you were born.
But this is what happens for us, isn't it? When we realise that we've accrued the skills. So, in actual fact, for anybody who's sort of feeling a bit at sea in terms of their soul mission or their soul path, come back to your passions.
Yes.
Come back to you, because everything that you're going to do is already in you. So you don't need to be anything else. You just need to be you, and you just need to bring that to the table. So yeah, I think it's wonderful how we, not in just this lifetime, but previous lifetimes, we accrue those skills, don't we?
Yeah, they just keep building on
Yeah,
our soul blueprint, and we
yeah,
can achieve or activate them whenever we need to. It's
yeah.
so beautiful. It's so
And
beautiful.
we've all got these different gifts and these different skills and different wisdom and knowledge that comes together. And I just see us like, so in the book, Let's Not Leave It So Long, I talk about how our lives are weaved in like a tapestry, like all different threads in a tapestry, and our stories of our lives weave together. And I think it's just the same as light workers. we bring our gifts and we bring our wisdom and ourselves, and it all weaves together to create a beautiful picture eventually. That's where we're creating it now, but we're doing it together.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. It's so beautiful. And our souls have known each other in and out through so many lifetimes, and we pick to interact with each other. It's so beautiful how that works.
Yeah,
So when you're intuitively brought to a person, it's for a reason.
yeah,
It's so
definitely.
beautiful. Yeah.
So,
So I always go with that intuition, because you just never know. You never know what that person is going to teach you, or how that this is going to interact with you. And there's been times when I didn't understand, but then, a couple weeks or a couple months later, it's it's been shown to me, and
yeah,
it's been beautiful.
yeah, it's beautiful. And
Yeah.
we learn from each other as well, don't we? We kind of like initiate things in each other, and re-remembering of things, don't we? We had a conversation because we've met today because we're preparing a workshop together, aren't we? And so we've already spoken today, and things that you spoke about, they made me go, oh yeah, okay, I get that now. I get that now. And we're just, we're constantly, I think, as light workers, learning from each other as well.
Yeah, I agree. And that's how it's like activating for these events is they just kind of bring you little trickles of information, and it is funny how I'll get a trickle of information from way over here, and then you'll get a very similar one or something that works right along with it over there. Eh, and then we talk, and it's like, wow, we're getting very similar stuff. We wouldn't have even known.
Definitely. And then it's that guidance, isn't it, that supports our work ultimately.
Yeah, it's so cool how that works. And so it's so neat to talk about the events and how to integrate all that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be using that for the December event. So we'll
Yeah.
have to get together again soon and talk about that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And bring all our family of light in. It's
exactly.
a meeting.
Exactly.
When we get together and to prepare these things, it's a big meeting.
It is. So do you want to leave a link for everyone on how to
Yes,
get
so
the
it's on Amazon, but what I can do is I can send you a link, Christina, that you could perhaps put in the comments.
Okay.
And so people can just click on that. And as I said, if you want paperback, that will be out at the end of the month. But you can download the free app, um, the Amazon Kindle app, onto your phone or onto your iPad and different devices, and that is free. So if you've not got a Kindle, you can do that.
Okay. I'm excited. Alex says, hello, beautiful sisters.
Hello.
Hello, Alex.
Beautiful.
So yeah, that would be great. I'll put that in, and then people can access that. That will be exciting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a wonderful day, and I look forward to checking out your book. I'm very excited about it. I'm excited to read the next one too. That sounds really good.
The next one I am even more excited about, to be honest, because I feel like as I'm moving into writing other books, it's really about spiritual development, and that's really what I'm wanting to do. But this
Yeah.
first one has been an important stepping stone for me, and I'm hoping that it will be an important stepping stone for other people too.
Yeah. Well, I look
E-
forward to reading it. And
Even if it just makes people think, hang on a minute, I just need to stop here and think and come back to me. Even if it just makes somebody think that, then it's achieved what I want it to achieve. So
Yeah. Well, just to open perceptions up is a beautiful, beautiful gift,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So I look forward to checking it out. I'm gonna
Thank
put it on my Christmas list. So,
you.
and I'm gonna get the other one, the regular version, but I'm gonna put the paperback on my Christmas list. So
Well, when we meet up, I'll sign it for you.
yes,
and
yes.
and you can sign your book for me when it gets published as well.
Definitely, definitely. So,
Cool.
okay. Many blessings. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will
Yeah,
be talking
thank
to you
you,
soon.
Christina, for inviting me on here, and have a
Oh,
beautiful day. Love and blessings.
it's always a blessing to have you. So
Take care.
take care.
Bye.
Bye.